With version 1.3 right around the corner and Bernice's banner coming to an end, players are now likely considering which of the brand new 1.3 characters should they prioritize in picking up. Of course, both Yanagi and Lighter are completely different characters, as one is an anomaly DPS and one is a stun character. So it won't really be a direct comparison between who performs better, but to see who would provide the most value on your account. Also, given the information provided from the 1.3 livestream regarding Yanagi and Lighter's kits, along with the fact that limited characters are continuously becoming more powerful and valuable with each version, Yanagi and Lighter certainly are following that trend with very unique and valuable kits. So with that, I'm going to be going over the value both Yanagi and Lighter hold within their kits, the sort of team flexibility and longevity they each hold, and ultimately, which one of these two should you prioritize for your account. Just before we jump into it, as always, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel for more ZenlessZoneZero content and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Now I'm gonna kick this off with the first of the two that will be dropping, being Yanagi, and as we kinda already knew prior to the 1.3 livestream, Yanagi is an electric anomaly DPS character that specializes in dealing a special type of disorder damage known as polarity disorder, which is capable of dealing 15% of the original disorder damage dealt to the target along with additional damage scaling of Yanagi's anomaly proficiency. So with Yanagi, you would be capable of triggering both disorder and polarity disorder, which is going to stack up to a ton of damage being dealt. Also considering the fact that polarity disorder is triggered simply by using Yanagi's EX special attack, means you would be able to trigger this quite often. Now this tied with Yanagi's core passive, which is activated after using the EX special attack, is capable of increasing the damage multiplier of disorder by 250% when a squad member triggers disorder. So just considering the fact that Yanagi is able to increase the damage dealt from disorder massively, would allow her to hold immense value, as she would now be an essential member for disorder teams. Finishing it off with Yanagi being the first character to have the ability to switch between two different stances, with each stance providing their own buff to Yanagi, being a 10% electric damage increase and a 10% pen ratio increase. It would allow for Yanagi to have more of an interactive playstyle that requires you to keep switching between two different stances to keep the buffs activated. So along with Yanagi being capable of increasing the amount of damage dealt from triggering disorder, there are multiple abilities in her kit which are able to buff her own damage, making her a powerful damage dealer overall. So now as for Yanagi's team flexibility, since her second core passive is activated from either anomaly type characters or characters from the same attribute as her, it means Yanagi is going to be fairly flexible, and as I mentioned, she is certainly going to be the best in slot for disorder teams moving forward due to the ability of massively increasing disorder damage. However, since Yanagi does require a ton of field time, it means an anomaly sub DPS such as Bernice would be a lot more valuable beside Yanagi than characters such as Jane and Piper. So considering the only true anomaly sub DPS is Bernice, means that Yanagi doesn't have much choice for team comps. But of course that will change later on, as more sub DPS anomaly characters will drop, and potentially soon. Given we know an electric anomaly sub DPS character is already confirmed due to the Chaos Jazz set pretty much hinting at that. So even though Yanagi's core passive is activated by any anomaly character, it doesn't mean every anomaly character is going to synergize well with her, as you would specifically want a sub DPS character that requires hardly any field time to be beside Yanagi. In terms of longevity, Yanagi does certainly seem promising, since again she is going to be essential for disorder teams moving forward due to effortlessly increasing the amount of damage dealt when triggering disorder. So with that ability alone, it would allow Yanagi to hold quite a bit of long-term value, given she is a great damage dealer herself and will be able to essentially buff other anomaly DPS characters beside her. So with that being said, if you do have Bernice on your account, then Yanagi is going to be an extremely valuable addition, given they both synergize very well together and will be capable of clearing through content insanely quick. Though even without Bernice, if you do enjoy the anomaly playstyle, then picking up Yanagi would still be a great idea, and given there will be more sub DPS characters like Bernice later on, means you will have the chance to pick up a valuable sub DPS for Yanagi very soon. Or of course you can wait to pick up Bernice on her rerun when it does come back around. Either way, Yanagi does hold immense value for disorder teams and will hold a ton of longevity, which is simply enough to make her a valuable character to pick up. Now moving on to Lighter, which will be dropping in the second phase of 1.3, and as we already know, he is going to be a fire type stun character, which already makes Lighter a valuable character overall due to the amount of utility stun characters hold, as seen with our first limited stun character Changli. Now as for what exactly Lighter is capable of, his first core passive revolves around his meter, which charges up by itself over time, and once it has reached 75%, Lighter enters the morale burst state, allowing him to continuously deal a barrage of attacks similarly to Changli, along with receiving an increase in impact, allowing for enemies to be stunned much quicker. However, the unique aspect of this core passive is that in addition to being able to stun enemies longer than usual, Lighter's barrage of attacks will be able to reduce fire and ice resistance of enemies. So with this core passive alone, it does open up Lighter to many different team comps, as he would be perfect alongside fire and ice type DPS characters, rather than just fire type DPS characters, which is what we initially expected. Now this paired alongside his second core passive, which provides an increase in fire and ice damage dealt from allies, pretty much doubles down on Lighter being an extremely valuable character for any fire and ice type DPS character in the game. Also, the core passive is in fact activated by characters from the Sons of Caledon, and just like Chengi's core passive, any attack type character, which means Lighter would be a lot more flexible in comparison to other stun characters. So with these two core passives, it does indeed allow Lighter to hold immense value, alongside just being a stun character, which already allows him to hold a lot of value. Now Lighter is actually missing the ability to increase the stun damage multiplier from his core passive, which is a powerful ability both Changli and Lycan have in their kits. Of course, it could still be somewhere within Lighter's kit and it just wasn't revealed in the live stream, or this could possibly mean the fire and ice damage increase and resistance shred on enemies are going to be on a level above the stun damage multiplier increase, considering that a stun damage multiplier increase is more broad and allows for any character to take advantage of it. So the fact that Lighter is only limited to increase the damage of fire and ice characters, it may mean that the buff and resistance shred will be more potent overall, and so will provide an insane increase in damage for any fire and ice DPS in the game. But of course that is speculation, and we will need to wait to see exactly how powerful Lighter's core passives will be. Regardless, Lighter is going to be an extremely valuable character to pick up if you're in need of a stun character, and specifically, if you are a Soldier 11 main or even an Ellen main, Lighter will be even more valuable and would be worth picking up. So as for Lighter's team flexibility and longevity, of course considering the fact that he is a stun character means he will have a lot more team flexibility and longevity than Yanagi, and especially due to his core passives, which allow him to synergize with any fire and ice type DPS and attack type characters. Though saying that, the only fire and ice type DPS characters are Soldier 11 and Ellen. But of course with time there will certainly be more DPS characters within those attributes. However, since he also does synergize with characters from the Sons of Caledon, it does mean he doesn't have to specifically be with an attacker, as someone like Bernice or Caesar would be able to synergize with Lighter and would leave the main DPS position open to either attackers or normally DPS characters. With that being said, you would still want to ensure you have either a fire type or ice type character as your main DPS. Otherwise, they would be missing out on Lighter's buffs and resistance shred on enemies. Though since he is a stun character, his main role is to stun enemies, and so with that, you would be able to use any attribute DPS alongside him, but of course a fire or ice type DPS would be significantly better. So with Lighter's longevity, again since he is a stun character, he will certainly hold a lot of long-term value due to just having the objective of stunning enemies. But since he is a specialist for fire and ice type characters, which of course plenty more will drop as time goes on, means he will be a character that can slot into many different teams in the future. So now with everything considered between Yanagi and Lighter, both do hold a ton of value and longevity, but considering Lighter is able to specialize in buffing both fire and ice type DPS characters, opposed to Yanagi specializing in only disorder comps, it means Lighter may have slightly more longevity and team flexibility. However, given that Yanagi will definitely be an essential member for disorder comps moving forward, as she can buff the damage of disorder massively and deal her own type of disorder damage, it does mean she will also have a ton of longevity. But of course, given the restrictiveness of needing an anomaly sub DPS beside her, as of now it is certainly difficult to build teams around her that don't include Bernice. With time that will definitely change, but given Lighter is able to play within more team comps, allows him to simply hold more value for now. All in all, as always, it will depend on your account, since if you're a fan of disorder comps and you have Bernice on your account, then Yanagi will definitely hold more value for you. Additionally, if your account is just in need of another main DPS character, given that Yanagi is capable of dealing great damage herself and enables disorder to pop off even more, does allow her to simply be a great DPS character to pick up and invest in. As for Lighter, it is quite simple, as if you need a new stun character and if it's specifically for Soldier 11 or Ellen, then he would be a great character to pick up and will of course be able to support any fire and ice type DPS characters in the future, such as possibly Miyabi, which is likely going to be an ice type anomaly DPS. Overall, whichever character you do pick up between these two is completely down to you, as everyone's account is different, and so you would just need to see who would be more ideal and worth your polychromes. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel for more ZenlessZoneZero content, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Also drop a comment down below on who will you be picking up in 1.3, or will you be skipping entirely. And yeah, hope to catch you guys later.